to the fourth edition of Cambridge University Press's series of webinars, better known as What Really Matters, a wealth of timely and timeless inputs for educators. I'm Shaumitri Datta, Head of Publishing for Education at Cambridge. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining us in this endeavor. Needless to say, your participation encourages and emboldens us to make meaningful contributions to the teaching and learning landscape. Today, while the world awaits the US election results with bated breath, we have a very important topic at hand, which is what really matters in enabling active learning and promoting learners' autonomy in online teaching. As Albert Einstein once famously noted, education is not the learning of facts, but the teaching of the mind to think. In modern learning ecosystems, teachers recognize the importance of active learning and seek to promote the learner's autonomy while they immerse themselves in constructing knowledge, solving problems, and seeking answers. Moving from the physical to the virtual learning space, owing to the COVID-19, has thrown open vibrant opportunities for active learning. So, how did the teachers make this shift? What pedagogies can support active learning online and promote the learner's autonomy? Today, we have a rich panel of esteemed educationists amongst us who will help us to find answers to such questions. But before I introduce the panel, I request all of you who've joined us to send in your questions in the Q&A chat box, as we have dedicated 15 minutes for discussions in the end. So without further ado, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our panelists for the day. Our first panelist, Dr. Venunandan B. Pillai, is a Harvard graduate in school management and leadership, who is currently the Director of Curriculum and Instruction of Singapore International School, Mumbai. Dr. Pillai is one of the very few certified Cambridge English teacher trainers in India. He is also a program leader for Cambridge International Diploma in Teaching and Learning. Besides these, he is also an examiner of Cambridge and IB English examinations. He chaired the Central India Cambridge community for 2 years before moving to Mumbai. He examined the IELTS too in the past. Dr. Pillai, who calls himself an old school teacher, exhorts to the new generation of teachers to be passionate about their profession as it shapes the future of the world. Sir, we are absolutely delighted to have you here in our midst. So in traditional classrooms, the learner autonomy is viewed more as a personal trait rather than an idea which largely applies to all the learners. Not all students in our classes are ready to steer their own learning path and be responsible for meeting their learning goals. So my question is, in the absence of physical classrooms, it becomes difficult for teachers to monitor students' progress as efficiently and effectively online. So what are some of the strategies to promote learner autonomy using technology during online learning? Sir.
Thank you very much. I sincerely thank Team CUP for inviting me to this webinar. It is indeed an honor. Dr. Vasudha Nilmani has been known to me for a few years. It is actually a pleasant surprise that I find her here because we work together in Central India Cambridge community. I met
Same here, Dr. Pillai. Same here. Good afternoon to you. It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
I met Ms. Sunita Rajiv a few minutes ago for the first time, But I mentioned to her that nobody is a strange, but friends we have not yet met. So we are friends hereafter, and it will be the beginning of a new association. Thanks, Team CUP once again. And what are some of the strategies to promote learner autonomy using technology during online learning is the question asked to me. It's a topic of great interest to me. Well, basically, I'm an English teacher, but I'm also a pedagogist and a teacher trainer for pedagogy. So there was a question from one of the audience that is it for English teachers? No, it is for everyone interested in teaching and learning. Not only even for teachers, everyone who is interested in teaching and learning. Well, learner autonomy is only one minor element of a concept called learner agency. It has been there for a while, actually, not recently, for centuries. That is the central theme for many educationists to think about new advantages or new innovations in education. So I will probably talk about learner agency instead of learner autonomy, because learner autonomy will be covered by default when I discuss learner agency. Allow me to share my screen, please. Well, learner agency, as I mentioned, has been a subject of discussion for centuries, but it has come to spotlight all of a sudden when in 2015, Java explored and found that this paradox. There is a massive youth unemployment, and there is also a massive shortage of talented youth for employment. That's when learner agency concept came to spotlight again. Well, I will connect this with a Pilgrim's Progress. The Pilgrim's Progress is a novel written by John Bunyan. It's an allegory or an allegorical novel where the protagonist makes his way through the troubled life, and he grows stronger with every obstacle, and he becomes a thinker. He takes responsibility for his own actions, and he is ready to take care of others also. This is exactly learner agency. I also connect learner agency with the materialistic concept of life, the customer, whose demands are defined by someone else. So he or she will have always a passion to look for better things or a perfect brand. In learner agency, this also happens. So like this. So in learner agency, learner know when to learn new things, when to unlearn things that are no more required. Also to relearn things are required again. So this is the continuum: voice, choice, engagement, motivation, ownership, purpose, and self-efficacy. So you can see that learner autonomy is already there in this one. And these are the three dimensions of the agency. Self, the person who involves the initiative or self-regulation of the learner, and he takes care of others in the society and in the community, because a learner is a part of the interdependent society. And the agency mediates and is mediated by the social cultural context of the classroom. And the environment, that includes an awareness of and the responsibility of one's own actions on the environment and on others. So these are the three dimensions of the agency. Accordingly, they set advantageous goals. There, the awareness is there, forethought is there, intentionality is there, planful competence is there, and initiate an action toward those goals. You can see that the autonomy is coming here even. That's why I said learner agency will automatically cover learner autonomy also. So the choice, voice, free will. I mean, recently actually IB has come up with enhanced PYP where this learner agency is an important component. They call it voice, choice, and ownership. So here that is there, then reflection and review of the processes, and actually internalizing and the self-efficacy also comes. So learner agency is what we require more. Of course, learner autonomy is a part of that. You can see that agentic education is open, distributed, scalable, social, generative, networked, self-organized, adaptive, and global. From these things, you can understand one thing. It is not only in the physical classroom or physical setup these things will happen. These things will happen even in a blended mode or on online mode or in a blended mode, to be very frank. And because we need, actually I promote it and most educations promote it. It is promoted in many of the countries because agentic learners become agentic adults. And this is what I say about this carpe diem is a phrase which means seize the day or seize the opportunity. Now, the pandemic is an opportunity for educationists. Actually, we have seen that the most unwilling teacher also became tech savvy overnight. The children are digital citizens. I am a digital immigrant, at least, if not a digital alien. Because my time, these digital facilities were not there. So I am an immigrant to digital world, or if not an alien. So these children will be able to be productive more on online situation or in a blended situation. So that's why I suggest carpe diem. Carpe diem means seize the day or seize the opportunity. But how? That's very important. How can we do that one? Can we leave the matters to a little laissez-faire? No, we can't do that one. That's when we have to use two major frameworks that are already available for online teaching. One of them is Community of Inquiry framework. Another one is Universal Design for Learning framework. So we have to use them. So I will briefly tell you about these two frameworks. Actually, it will take a lot of time to explain the Community of Inquiry framework and Universal Design for Learning framework. So as I have only 10 minutes in my hand, I'm not going to explain it that much. I'll just give you an overview and I will go to the next framework. First, I will start with the Community of Inquiry framework. This actually, it is a seminal project that happened in 2003 and 2011 for online teaching or e-learning. Actually, for the purpose of e-learning, the seminal research happened. So the framework actually specially crafted for making the students very, very independent in their learning, taking ownership in their learning, exercise voice and choice in their learning. So this framework is a very good choice for creating online, creating ownership and creating a sense of agency in the learners. Actually, it is said that even the most docile learners also will become very active learners with this framework. This is a little bit more explanation. The slides talks more about that. It is inquiry based, it is learner centered, teacher mentored framework actually. So it is like this. It has got three presences: social presence, teaching presence, and cognitive presence. social presence is creating the environment for learning. Teaching presence, the pedagogy employed for learning, and cognitive presence, the actual learning. Here, recently, after this COVID situation started, there is another presence propagated by people called emotional presence. Because of the emotional trauma the learners undergo, we have to include emotional presence also in the social presence. But you can see that emotional presence is already there included. But there is no harm in exercising more emotional presence activities in the classroom to set the climate for learning. So this is it. So social presence, then first set the climate, the supporting discourse, engaging with the participants and setting the climate for an educational experience, then set goals, regulate the learning, and make these children learn accordingly. This is it. The process is very well drafted process. You will be able to understand it more if you Google. There are a lot of literature available for this. The next one is universal design for learning. It is the why, what, and how of learning. Here also, actually, plenty of resources are available online if you want to go and probe it. This is affective networks and recognition networks and strategic networks. Here, actually, the UDL, Universal Design for Learning Lens, has got 3 angles: access, engage, and express. Through these angles, the students acquire the skills to use tools and resources for the task, selects appropriate tools and resources based on how they prefer or need to access, engage, and express, develops learning strategies to support their learning, reflects on evidences of learning. So an independent, autonomous agent is the result. So that is a good framework that we can use to make even the docile student into an active one. This is another way. Here you can see that the agency is open here, open for business. The agency is open. It has got 3 stages. Stage 1, teacher choose environment for individual group work and from a menu of options and activities, resources, and tools. And stage 2 is learner centered. So the first one is teacher centered. That is social presence and the teacher presence. Then the learner centered activities will happen. It is part of teacher presence and cognitive presence. Then learner driven activities. So that is the stage 3 of choice. So voice, choice, and ownership make agency. So this is the next one, the voice. Even in voice, the same thing. Actually, the teacher help the students to develop a personal learner profile, actually PLP, using the UDL lens and the 3 angles of the lens. Then learner-centered activity and learner-driven activities. So this is what I want to say finally. Most of the time, adults think that children can't do, but children can do better than us, provided they are given a chance to do. So we must rethink what we expect for our students. So we should not underestimate them. Give them the opportunity and set high expectations for them. Instead of thinking that my children can do only this much, so this question paper is good enough, or this type of teaching is good enough. Instead of that one, set high expectations for them, guide them to attain those expectations, and you will be able to get that one. So this experience of pandemic is actually a teaching moment or a teachable moment for us. I personally believe that every experience is a teachable moment. So carpe diem, or seize the day, or seize the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Carpe diem indeed. And we will indeed bear in mind that learner agency automatically extends to learner autonomy. Thank you so much. So our next panelist, Sunita Rajiv ma'am, is the headmistress of the middle section of Alcon International School. She was the first recipient of the Geeta Raghavan Award for her paper on peer teaching and is a master trainer for sustainable development goals. She also received the Best English Teacher Award for 2013 to 14 from Airtime. She is an active member of our Cambridge Teachers of Tomorrow community as well. With more access to technology, learners are presented with opportunities for learning on their own, but that also demands greater responsibility and ownership by students. According to you, ma'am, are our students ready to shoulder these responsibilities and move from teacher directed learning towards self directed learning scenarios? What attributes are essential for our students to become self directed learners?
Namaskar, Somitri, and thank you for having me on the panel. I'll begin by patting the back of Team Cambridge for chiseling out the three most important words from English, right? And the three important words in English which we all know and we want to listen from our loved ones, dear ones, seldom say to others also. But this one is going to actually have a sunshine a degree more. So what really matters, I think, is going to pave the roadmap for all the educators in the coming years to come, right? And I'll begin my session by thanking from heartfelt thanks to my mentors, Mrs. Shanta Singh, Dr. Ashok Kumar Pandey, my principal, Sanjay Yadav sir. And I'll begin my session on this beautiful topic, which you've chosen for this session. My bandwidth says it's slightly low, and if ever you leave, you lose my voice, you should kindly interrupt me and let me know so that at least I switch over to some other device. And because these 10, 12 minutes are very, very precious to me. And on that note, allow me to share my screen and start my presentation. It is really very, very precious day for me. And there goes, just see if my screen is visible to you, you will have to show it to me. Just give me a yes, okay? Are you able to see my screen,
Yes.
Shamitri? Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much. And on that note, I'm making it a slideshow and I hope it works. So that is the first thing which I want to start this. And the three words, as I said, are going to be the roadmap for all the educators, because these three words will force us to think what really matters in education. Now, see, is it artificial intelligence? Is it continuous professional development? Is it tools? Is it adaptability quotient? You know, when I was thinking a lot about all these, what came to my mind was a story of a very famous educationist. We all know him, and that is Jiddu Krishnamurti. He was invited to give a talk to a gathering of teachers. And as is customary, he simply said, introduce yourself. The first one got up and said, I'm Vinayak, I teach mathematics. Second one got up, I'm Mr. Younger, I teach English. I am Kumudini, I teach social science. Even before the fourth teacher had stood up, Jiddu Krishnamurti is said to have taken an about turn and was ready to leave the venue, where the organizers, they just rushed to him, said, what happened? Why are you leaving? Jiddu Krishnamurti says, I'm at a wrong place. Organizers are flabbergasted. They say, why, sir? You are actually here to deliver a talk. And J. Krishnamurti simply says one thing, and I think that answer explains it all. He said, I'd come to address teachers, and I think teachers teach children, but they teach subjects. Now that is one line which I think settles all. So this is where, in our degrees, in our diplomas, and in our expertise, which we have, which we earn after years and years of study, we start thinking about ourselves as a maths teacher, English teacher, social science teacher, and we think we are teaching these subjects. And even if you'll ask one Hindi teacher or one German teacher, they will stick to their own subjects. But we forget sometimes teachers may be the second word, but actually that is the most important word. Now, on that note, just see, this is one KYC we all know. When you go to banks, the banks hound you to complete this document. They won't proceed further until you complete this document, right? And why they do it? Because they want to know their customers. There are thousands in number, but they want to know each customer, right? But if they want to know each customer because of their smooth functioning, for a teacher, the KYC would be know your child. And know your child is one thing which I think the one thing that really, really matters. Now you think of this lovely picture. We teach our children, my God, they have got lovely smiles. Hello, stop, think. Whenever a camera is there, everybody has been conditioned to smile, right from childhood. A 3-year-old, when he starts crying, the moment you have a camera in your hand, he'll smile because we have conditioned our children also like that. So these smiles don't say it all. Do we really know our children, right? So when I used to ask this question, the answer I used to get, yes, ma'am, first day we always spend time in knowing our children. We know their names, we have introductions. Sometimes, we have a fanciful, very, very beautiful introduction where they attach some adjective to their name. And sometimes we play a game for that. But tell me one thing, 30 minutes and 30 children, is that one introductory session enough for you to know your child? So what happens is, if you see education like this, as a tripod, as a three-dimensional figure, as a triangle, remember the base of this is the child, and all the associations are because of that child, right? That is a nucleus of the entire system or the organization. So here, I'm just going to minimize this window because you should be able to see it. We become so obedient to this one, 10 commandment like syllabus, which is actually designed by us, that we forget that our first subject is one who is sitting in front of us, right? So you will say, ma'am, KYC, then what? What do you want us to do? So basically, I've been practicing this for decades and have successfully sold. That has paved the way from my heart to their heart. And that is what I'm going to share here. And I think I poured it all, and thanks to TOT once again for allowing that article to be featured on their magazine. But I'm just going to tell you a little about it. So if a teacher walks into the classroom, greets, and simply tells the children that it is very, very important for me to know you, and I'll go to any length to do that. And I know full well that I cannot spend 30 days, each day taking half an hour session with one child. I'm going to speak out certain questions, take out a piece of paper, write the answers to that. And those answers are going to be my Bhagavad Gita for the next 2-3 days when I'm going to study it. And I'm going to know about you much more than the school curriculum will allow me to do it. Now see, these are the few questions, right? Write 2-3 lines about your parents, their occupations and their vocation. Who are you closer to and why? What are your strengths and good qualities? What are your talents? Go very slow. Give them time to think and write. And then which values do you like most and follow, right? You can even give the example of the 3 wickets in a cricket match. If one wicket falls, the child is out. So which are the 3 most important wickets for you, right? What are your weaknesses? And would you like me to help you overcome these? Now, this question will make them believe that here is a person who is ready to help me out, at least chisel my personality out of these weaknesses. And then, have you been bullied in school? If yes, you can share. Here comes these stories, which, because we receive a badge, we receive some inputs from the previous teacher, right? But they are the teacher's perception of the class. They're not the child's perception of himself, right? So that is where the child will pour out to you. And if you do not, do you bully others? Let me tell you, they're always candid here also. Is there any problem in the class that you want me to solve? Teachers and all the educationists who are here, I'm telling you, this is going to be your gateway to success. And write in detail, and is there anything that you want to share with me? That is where the child in them, they are going to pour out their heart on those papers. So these are few which have been, my cherished possessions, and which I've referred to many a times during the year of my teaching the children, and they've always worked. The ones whom we dismiss as aggressive children, the ones whom we dismiss as, the children who are difficult to handle, they write out their side of the story. And that is where, when a teacher starts, working on the child as a personality, then comes, the real work of a teacher actually that happens. And one child once told me, what I hate most, ma'am, in schools. I said, what? And he says, I hate to be addressed like a roll number. I hated when I was called roll number 27. They want to be recognized as a personality, as a person, and they want their teacher to know that, because then only the bonding starts and the work becomes, easier for everyone. So the autonomy is all about self-awareness of the children. So here, this time in the COVID times, is my voice clear, Samitri? I hope my voice is not dwindling. Samitri, is my voice clear?
Yes, ma'am, your
I
voice
would
is
just,
absolutely
thank you,
clear.
thank you. I'll
Yes, thank you
continue.
so much. Yes.
Thank you, thank you.
If there is, don't
Oh,
worry. If there
lovely.
is
So,
any problem, I'll just let you know. Yeah, please carry on.
oh, lovely. So during these times, there was no physical interaction, there was no face-to-face meetings, and we were missing school like anything. So this year, I started these spoken English classes, right? And here, why we started this? Because this was a gift wrapper for the many things which I was going to do. And my dynamic team of teachers, they really helped me out. And we just curated this, wherein we started with simple things, but we started going deeper into the personality and the character shaping of the children. So I'll give you this simple examples, a few slides from the 30 classes we have already conducted successfully. So we began by, fixing cooking, because the children used to share, sometimes they sat in the classes without having had their breakfast. So I started teaching them about why not fix your own sandwich, fix your own breakfast. So yummy for your tummy, and can you narrate the process, because the language also had to be taken care of. So can you narrate the process? Everybody started sharing. They were least aware of the fact that if they were using the target language, right? But we were working on them. Our agenda was to build a strong personality. So here, when I started giving them more options, then they started sharing. Of course, English was to be taken care of. So positive food words came, and we talked about it, vocabulary, how to use, how to create, and we shared what we made for each other and for ourselves. We talked of cooking verbs, and slowly I brought them to this, and talked of the marriage parties and the birthday parties, and asked them, all the food that is served there, is it consumed by us? And being a hardcore SCGN, I was there to, work upon the second and the third goal, right? And that is where, when I started talking about these and brought them to this level, the awareness in the child came, that when he dismissed that one plate served by his mother of the home cooked breakfast, what he was actually doing, he was not being thankful for what the God has given him, because there were children who were gaga over the khichdi that was being served. There were children who were trying to find food from garbage. And here, what we were doing, I did not answer, I did not preach, no moralistic stories, no moral of the story done. Simple, this kind of an exercise actually elicited what I wanted to elicit from the children. Now, this brought next, the next level was being grateful. So if you could see in the camera, the gratitude jar, which I'll show you right now, I started asking them, can you think of some blessings in your life? We were talking English, it was spoken English class, right? These were the answers which the children gave: family, sibling, cousins, grandparents. These are the blessings, they were counting that. But when we started digging deeper, the answers were, I can see, I can listen, I can think, and I can walk, and I can talk. There are many children who suffer because of they do not have these abilities. So now this realization started giving them confidence that, yes, I am a unique creation of God. So the first thing is, when a potter starts making some pot, first thing is, making the clay ready. So this is readying the clay, making the clay ready for the newer, deeper lessons which we were going to serve in future. So this is how to start a gratitude jar, which I showed you. These chits which are inside are chits written by me. And I simply ask them that every day start being thankful for what they had. If they had roof on their head, food in their plate, and clothes on their body, weren't they more fortunate than thousands and thousands of children who were actually not having all these facilities? And that is where the children knew that even in COVID times, they were fortunate. The resilience had started building. They were not, after all, we are depressed, we are sitting at home, we are the ones who are not able to go to school. They starting enjoying. Earlier, they used to crave for the time of their parents. Now, all the time they were with their parents. So this is, being thankful about things was one feature. The second feature was tackling aggression. When I asked them in that same kind of a interaction, let us list a few things that do not make you happy. These were the answers which came. I was startled to see a child speaking about religion. And when I asked him, why do you list religion here? He said, because half of the tussles and problems are because of this religion. I do not like religion. And these were the answers coming from children. We are so eager to pour out what we have, but how much eagerness we have to show to listen to children what they have to pour back. Now, that will be autonomy and the learner's autonomy we are thinking of. Now, the times of aggression are what with the children do not know how to tackle that. No subject book, no textbook, no syllabus refers to this. And that is where a teacher has to hold hand. There's a doha in Hindi, antar haath samhare de bahar mare chot, means when you're shaping a pot, inside you lay your hand, and from outside you keep on patting the pot so that it takes shape. So when I started telling them how you could cool off when you are aggressive, what are the ways you can handle your own anger so that it's not passed on to the family members or to the friends, that is where they started thinking, yes, this was possible. And when they experimented with themselves, they came up with more. So whatever they showed, they shared, we shared together in the classes, and we were doing spoken English classes. Circle of control, Stephen Covey, we all know. And when I talked about them, what you cannot control has to be outside. What can be controlled has to be inside. All I had to do was just to give a number of statements. Mummy becoming angry, where will you write it? They wrote it outside. Papa getting a transfer from the company, where will you write it? Outside. How I react to my cousin who is teasing me, where will you write it? The dawning realization came, they could write it inside the circle. COVID-19, where will you write it? Outside the circle. But how can I be happy during these times? Where will you write it? They wrote it inside the circle. So these were the things when I was strengthening their inner self, strengthening their resilience, and which everyone can do. And how to cope up in the problems, we even went to the point where we invited the videos from all the 36 children and watching them and giving them complete secret privacy that they will not be under any condition shared with anybody. And they poured out what problems were there. One child simply said, without naming, so privacy is maintained, he simply said, I want to go back to school because I can't see my parents fighting every second day. So these were the problems children were facing. So resilience development is the most important thing today when you talk of learners' autonomy. So I gave them this, check your list with this poster. I know the print is very small, you can't read, but you simply 2 points, I can read it out for you. Choosing to think before you speak and how you treat other people. These were 2 options, and there were many. They could zoom it and read it. This I took from Pinterest. But then these things really made us dig deeper into what more can be brought to teach them all these skills. And last part, I'm just talking about what is a kid doing? You would say concentrate, focus, right? Is he happy? Of course he's happy. He's listening to music. We always tell them to concentrate. When the parent-teacher meeting is there, we tell them, your child does not concentrate. He has no focus on studies. How many times do we teach them to concentrate? Making a child sit with closed eyes and having the hands like this is not concentrating. And let me tell you, shortage of time won't allow me, but definitely there is a big, big exercise you can do just to teach concentration to children. And that is where, again, I dug it out from internet itself. Because in the present time, when our mobile phones are the great, great master, and we are like genies, yes, master, every time the notification ping is there, yes, master, we keep on checking it. Distraction levels are getting higher and higher. How to cope up with that? So taking a digital detox, switching the notifications off, and even helping, so much so that reflecting and reviewing one's own, daily routine, managing emails and restricting time to check out their messages, etc. These were the ways where they started becoming, yes, we are the ones who are actually mastering our own self and our own lives, right? Here, this one will let students take charge of their own learning autonomy. When we give the baton into their hands, let me tell you, they astound you. This was one project, Namami Gange. It came to us just 3 days before. We were to submit it, and I sat with my team of teachers thinking, how will we do it? And then we decided we'll break the class into 6 groups and give the entire onus to children how they want to do it. I'm really so glad to tell you, we were so humbled. We felt so belittled because every group came up with such fantastic ways on Ganga. that we sat that in the 50 years, the semi-centurions, we did not know so much about Ganga, how much the children brought it. And it was the autonomous, the baton taking that they had done. So just depending on that, and then because I want to bring you to this part, teaching is much more than transferring knowledge and skills. When our students leave our classrooms, our hope is that we've empowered them to be the architects of their own learning. Teaching is about bringing out the best in others, inspiring others to be who they are, and igniting their passion and desire for learning. And you see, this, I've taken this clip from famous painting of Michelangelo, The Creation. The fingers have to meet. What really matters is a child and you're bonding with him or her. I'm not ending with a quote from Sir Ken Robinson. I'm not ending with a quote from by Gandhi. I'm ending with a quote from Cambridge TOT's first session. Preeti Ingorani started her session saying, what really matters is the student. And what really matters to the student is the teacher. So here simply I rest my case, because that I think settles all. First and foremost, we have to have that bonding and that finger touching, and then the sparks will fly. Vivekanand and Kalam were not created in the age of high technology the way we have it now. It's not technological tools which create a grand master and a grand disciple. It's basically the connect which a teacher has with a student. You make the soil ready, and this banyan tree will come out from a small seed. There I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. That was so emotional as well as informative, I must say. And like Michelangelo's famous painting, which you showed us, we now know that self-reliant personalities make for self-directed learners. Thank you so much. Now moving on to our next and final panelist for the day, Dr. Vasudha Nilmani. She's the principal of Rockwood's International School, Udaipur. She's a profound and illustrious educationist with over 27 years of experience, spanning across teaching, administration, mentoring, and advisory roles with Cambridge Education, and 10 years in leadership roles. Dr. Neil Money is an international certified career coach and the recipient of Avantika Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award 2018, and has published several articles in leading magazines and has presented papers, including one at IIT Delhi. So, adapting to this new way of learning hasn't been easy, ma'am, and teachers struggle to shift the onus of learning to students, but paradoxically rely on students to take increased ownership of their learning. How can teachers strike the right balance between letting students become active agents of seeking knowledge and constructing meaning, and teachers ensuring that learning goals are met and learning continues uninterrupted? Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Saumitri, and thank you, Dr. Pillai and Ms. Sunita for the amazing session. Before I start the session, I would like to add on to what Ms. Sunita spoke about gratitude, because that has the pandemic, I would say, has given me an opportunity to become an author. So, and I wrote this book called Gratitude, the Purpose of Life. And why I'm sharing that, Ms. Sunita, is that was so much resonating with my thoughts that I started doing this gratitude journey with my children. And and from 2-year-old, 3-year-old in their own ways, to 18-year-old and the teachers also. So, and it is divided into simple 21 days journey. And the impact was so beautiful that the students were like you were doing so early in the morning during the start of the pandemic days, where the things were, the emotions were so high at the homes also. a teacher, because I'm glad that I was given a question related to the teachers, because I think teachers were doing the fabulous job, and they still are. And during that time, they were managing homes, they were taking the classes, they were doing everything with them. But unfortunately, they were at the receiving end at times from us, because we thought that the lessons were not conducted well, from parents, that they thought that they have not done this particular aspect well, that particular aspect well. So I have not prepared any presentation or as such. What I thought was that this is something very close to my heart, so I would speak from heart. And let me share a beautiful anecdote with you, which is my favorite anecdote, and I share with the teachers all the time. And I'm sure that most of the participants here are teachers. So, my dear teachers, listen to this very carefully. There was in Europe somewhere, long, long ago, there was a big cathedral work going on. And there was a gentleman who was walking from one mason maker to other builder, and asking that, what are you doing? So one of the gentlemen said, can't you see I am digging a wall? Okay. I am digging a pit. Moving on. Oh, can't you see I'm just, it has been asked me to, lay this bricks properly. I am doing that. And there was a young, energetic, a new person who was appointed to do the work. So he said, hey, wait, I am contributing to the one of the largest cathedral in the world. So that is the role of teachers. Are we, as Ms. Sunita said, are we the physics teacher, maths teacher, English teacher, or we are the teacher of our children, whom we are devoting our lives to? And my dear teachers, I would, categorically state that we have a very, very thankless jobs in terms of money. Very, very thankless jobs, when it comes to a scratch comes to our child's hand, and the parents are pouncing on us that it was as if it was our fault, and maybe they can get a deep cut at home, but if it has happened in school, it's our responsibility. But why are we teachers? We are teachers because we are very, very passionate about teaching. We are teachers because we love being teachers. And I think that, the principals, they are not born as principals. Miss Sunita Rajiv was not a headmistress or principal, Dr. Pillai also, or myself also. It is a complete journey. And, journey is the reward, as Steve Jobs said. It is a beautiful journey where you grow with your proactive approach, where you grow, where you need to know, like Miss Sunita said, KYC, know your child. How much of us, I'm being a principal of the school, and thankfully I'm in a Cambridge school, so we don't have students in thousands. I have my 300 to 400 students, but yes, I know my students by name. I spent a lot of time with my students, and most of the time it happens when thankfully when pandemic was not there, and teachers used to bring students to me that, okay, we are taking you to principal ma'am, and she will talk to you. And then they used to tell her, it's okay, you scold us how much you want, our ma'am is not going to scold us. And my teachers would you say, please do something about it. But you have to have that bonding. I am never in my office till 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I have a table chair in the corridor where I sit and interact with my children, with my teachers. So you have to be a hands-on person. As you know, there was a very, very famous quote which said that, tell me I forget, teach me I remember, and involve me I understand. So this is the mantra, and I believe that we are the role models for our children, and we must practice what we preach, and we must preach what we practice. So now most of the people are here from Cambridge, and we all know that Cambridge pedagogy is based on completely with three Bloom's taxonomy. Everybody knows, but here's something that I am very fond of, and which is mentioned in today's topic. That's called active learning. And how can we become active learners together with our students? So active learners, active students, because I feel we as teachers, we are not know-it-all. We are the students ourselves. We are the co-learners with our students in that journey of education. So what happens is sometimes, there are certain concepts which, my children ask me, because I'm not any, I'm a, basically I'm a psychologist and a special educator by profession. And so I contribute to all the classes. It's been so many years, 27 years. So I go and I try to take all the classes with my children. And when they ask me that, okay, so if I don't know the answer, I don't shy away. I just tell them, okay, hang on, let us, find this answer together. Let's do it together. So what happens is that you gain the confidence of a child. I was not very tech savvy few years ago when I was in a school a decade ago, and I started there. I pioneered a lot of technological things there. And my students, still they are in touch with me. The naughtiest of them used to teach me how to do things on iMac, and they used to be, flaunting about it. We taught principal this thing. She didn't know this, and I was also very happy that fine. They are having that confidence. So coming back to the whole cycle of active learning. So every learner, every teacher goes through a concrete experience to understand what is happening. So if we are going through that concrete experience ourselves, that is going to stay in our head for a very, very long time. So that concrete experience is a must, followed by reflective observation. When we are having that concrete experience, then we reflect, we go back, we think about it. What have we learned? Like we are taking a class. So when we are taking a class as teachers also, most of the time we think about it. Oh, today, I did think this thing this way. I could have done it that way, so it would have been turned out better. So yes, so that's one thing, followed by abstract conceptualization. That means that you are transferring your learning to the abstract concepts, to the generalizing situation. And finally, you are doing active experimentation yourself. You are ready what you have learned, and then you are doing that. So when you have to because Bloom's taxonomy, everybody knows about it, and everybody used to. And then I used to feel that as teachers, and if I focus more on, because we are the Cambridge school, so as Cambridge learners, as Cambridge teachers, all the time, if we talk about it or if we implement it in our lives, in our classrooms, then we are not going to fail at all. The other very important thing, which I can talk about COVID has taught us, pandemic has taught us, is to be very, very resilient, as she spoke about it. Sometimes the plan A, plan B, plan C, everything is ready. So I'll just share last Friday's example to you. And I was observing, we all observed the classes. So I think that was a day, when something starts in a jiffy, it ends in a jiffy. So there was some network issue with my kindergarten teachers. So I just jumped in, because she and students were crying, and so I just jumped in and I started teaching them. And being a special educator, sometimes it helps. Then unfortunately, there was some technical glitch in the Hindi class, so I had to jump in. Plan B was ready at that time. And finally, I'm not a science person, I don't like science, but there was a major technical glitch where teacher was she was there in the class, and she just she had to leave the session, and it was grade 8 chemistry, and I had no clue what was happening. So all thanks to Cambridge sites and everything. I asked them that, okay, what are you teaching? And okay, we are doing this. So I taught chemistry also that day. So as troubleshooters, as these things, and then, my teachers were that, okay, ma'am, no. I said, so have your plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds always ready. But to be honest, in life, I never have a plan B, because as a being strong proponent of positivity and my book, Gratitude, the Purpose of Life, because I feel that, if I will have plan B, so it means in my heart somewhere I have this feeling that plan A is going to fail. So in my personal life, I don't have plan Bs. I just try to pray and work hard to get, what I want. So that's a very, very, and I think, as Dr. Pillai also said, during this COVID times, a complete paradigm shift has happened in the education sector. The education system has completely evolved. There were many times, we as principals, we used to talk, or the managements used to talk about the things that we want to make our teachers techno savvy, technologically active. They don't know how to do this. And now you see, because of the COVID, everything, they poor things, they are ready, in the time. And I still remember there was a meme few months ago, that wherein, it was a thing that, Italy, these many people died, and because of COVID. France, these many people died because of the COVID. And India, whatever was happening, the teacher was asking, have you submitted your assignment in time? So no, these are the teachers, we are the teachers, we are so passionate and worried about, our children's future. So that was one thing. And as Dr. Pillai talked about his model, where he was talking about making the students independent learners. So of course, taking that forward, so I think it's a boon sometimes to be the last speaker. So taking that forward, so I had some notes where you know we all are adapting personalized learning model these days. So in personalized learning model, of course, being a special educator, I know it is not a substitute to IEPs most of the time. But at the same point in time, but the personalized learning approach is the best fit, which customizes learning, keeping in mind each student's strengths, needs, skills, and interest. Here, Miss Sunita's Know Your Child model comes into picture. Now, what we have done, that we have giving the live example, we have around 25 to 30 in the classroom these days because of COVID situation, sometimes 20 also to the classroom. So we are observing the students, and after the classes, we have one-on-one class between the student and the teacher. And that is not just the academics. That is also about what's happening in the house. What is it happening? How are you doing? Sometimes, we are there. Sometimes the cameras are on, or the mics are, on, and we can hear the conversation, sometimes not so good, sometimes good, the conversations happening in the children's homes. So we understand that okay, this child needs a little bit of extra attention at home, or we need to take care of this child emotional needs also. Because when there was a beautiful quote, that there are children who come to the school to learn, but who get love at their homes. But there are certain children who don't get love from home, so they come to the school to have that love. So, and I always tell my parents, if some parents are also there, you are worried about one child. And I always tell them, I am worried, all these 300 children are my children. So we are worried about these children. So for me, all 300 children are the same. It is not that I mean, like I was talking about, a scratch is there, and, we are so worried about that. So before I end, there are three words I would like everybody to just know about. So we spoke about autonomy learning, we spoke about self-directed learning, we spoke about child-centric learning, so learner-centric learning. So there are three words. Out of these two, there are two words which are we hearing for a very long time. One is pedagogy. Pedagogy, everybody knows it is about child's learning. The other word is andragogy. So andragogy is also where we start actually considering our students as adults. So that is a completely learner-centric learning, where it is known as andragogy, where we are considering our students as adults and we are talking about that. Then just 2 decades ago, a new concept has come that is called heatagogy. Now, heatagogy talks about what Cambridge CUP has spoken about: autonomy learning, the autonomous learning, the self-directed learning. So here, it aims to make the students self-directed learners, wherein it is a self-determined learning. It is the study of self-determined learning, where focus is both on competencies and capabilities. Now, again, intertwining of what we have spoken, how will you know your child's capabilities and competencies when you don't have that KYC model of Miss Sunita? That when you will be knowing your child, you will be knowing what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses, and creating a platform for students where they want inspired and motivated to learn. Absolutely, someone is rating now, it is techno-heatagogy. Yes, it is techno-heatagogy these days. So there is a saying in English, we cannot take the horse to the water and make it drink, but definitely we can ignite that thirst in our students for learning, thirst in our teachers to be like Alvin Toffler had rightly said, that illiterates of 21st century are those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And I'm very fond of stories, so I will end my session if Sumitri allows me, because I know it's 4:30. With a short story, I will end the session here. So there was a woodcutter, and a woodcutter was going to the woods and cutting the woods, cutting the trees and everything. That was his livelihood. And 2 days, 3 days, and he was actually spending that amount of time, that amount of energy, that amount of thing, but he realized that his productivity, his output was deteriorating day by day. And then he thought, what should I do? What should I do? So he met somebody, and his senior, and he guided him to sharpen the saw. So he sharpened the saw, and so of course the result were again. So the story here, why I am telling to all of us, it implies to all of us as teachers, is that we have to keep on learning, we have to keep on sharpening our saws, because we cannot be in today's business with yesteryear's tools. So on that note, I am just, stopping myself. My session ends here. And thank you so much, Cambridge. Ridhima, I mean, she is off the screen, Somitri, and we are open to questions now. And hats off to you, my dear teachers. You are also, still I consider you guys to be the one amongst all the Corona warriors. All the best. And I hope we come out of this situation soon and we are able to physically hug our children when they are back to us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. And yes, we promise to keep sharpening our skills and saws, which are our skills, so that we do not become the 21st century illiterates. So thank you so much for that. And in many ways, you indeed summed up the previous sessions as well. On the other hand, we have reached a point where it's already 4:35, and I don't blame this situation, because we are in the midst of such great minds that time is just a number. However, time in the real world is not just a number. So, and we would love for our panelists to take some questions. However, if our panelists are willing and if our audience is willing, and if you give us permission, then we would very much like to pass on a few questions that have come from the audience to our panelists, if
Yes.
that is convenient.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So goes without saying, we are extending this by a bit. So we will try to field a few questions, but if we are not able to address all the questions, then please forgive us. So this, among the very interesting questions that we've received, one that we can start with is, and Dr. Pillai, maybe you can take this, or any one of you. Praneet Desai asks, how can we ensure learner autonomy for children who have less or no net facility?
Well, to be very frank, I have no answer to that question, because digital divide is a reality, not only in India, all over the world.
Right.
But we are trying to overcome that. The government is trying to overcome that in many places, and sometimes they use, other aids like television is used now, and many places we have seen reaching out. Actually, the teachers reach out to the students to the common facilities. Actually, that is also happening. Otherwise, that is a situation we have no answer, to be very frank. But incidentally, I would like to mention one thing more, which came in I saw when I was going through this chat box. I just noticed one of the questions that children are now too much tech, and that is spoiling them. This is nothing new. It has been like that forever. During Socrates' time, Socrates was against writing, because that was the technology then. He didn't want his students to write anything. He wanted everybody to by heart things. So later, we can see that, when I was a child and all, of course, in my family, we were allowed to read library books and periodicals. But I knew from my friends that they were not allowed to read library books and periodicals. That was not allowed. Movies were not allowed. So technology always, the elder community always stopped the youngsters to use technology, whatever it may be, whether it is reading or writing,
Yes.
or new technology. So it will be like that. It will be like that forever.
Forever, yes.
May I add
Yes, ma'am.
something to that, ma'am? Samitri, may I add something to that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so
Yes.
see, technology has nothing to do with learners' autonomy, I would simply tell you. All the people who are sitting here have not learned from technology. In fact, the generation which is attending this webinar, most of them, we have learned in schools where textbook and books, it was taught in a very traditional manner. Two, when you want something very desperately, you aspire for it and you get it. If a child, even if a child living in a remote village, if he wishes, he can definitely come near some place where he can attend a class with somebody. So what I gathered, we also had these cases. I'm sure Ma'am Vasudha ma'am will agree with me. So we gathered these children and we simply talked to them and said, this learning is whose responsibility? You're not, if you're thinking you are attending the classes for your parent, you can always answer network issues. But if you want to watch a cricket match and you're desperate for it, you will find your ways and means. So that is where this is what autonomy actually means. Making the learner understand that if he or she is learning, he is doing for himself. And once that realization comes, like Kalam, they'll swim across the rivers to be where the learning is happening. So that is what I would answer to that.
And I'll just add one thing. She's absolutely right. So what I have done in my school is, of course, we have one or two students, whom say that either they have technological issues, or like Miss Sunita said, that network issues, just because they don't want to learn. So there is a room outside my office. So I provide them the Wi-Fi. They just get their phones. So there are one or two of them, and believe me, after a few days, everything is settled down. So it is, I think it is the partnership between the parents and the school, how we are addressing these issues. And when there is a lot of digital divide, where we know that they are not having it at all, so we have made the arrangements where we send the notes to them, we take the PDF out for them, send it to them, or there are certain people who are helping them out. So yes, where there is a will, there is a way. We work it out. Yes.
Right. That's so true. When there's a will, there's a way. And if we have to catch that cricket match, we will, no matter what the obstacles are. Right. So I think this could be the last question of the day. However, please don't worry. All the rest of you who've sent in the questions, it is our responsibility to get them answered, resolved by our panelists. Probably not today live, but we will get back to you. That's an assurance from us. This particular question is very interesting. And again, this is relevant for, I think, all of you. So Megha asks, how to involve nursery kids more while taking an online session. In the physical classroom, it is easy to involve them, but in the online session, it's slightly tricky. They are unable to focus much, though we keep our session short.
Okay.
So,
Can I answer to this? Because I took few classes with my nursery students, so I would like to answer that. So the best thing is the communication with the parents. Whatever classes we are taking, inform them well in advance, because when I started with the tracing for them, so I had my rice plate ready, where I was asking them to have the strokes with them, and the students had their mothers had their rice plate ready. So whatever I was asking them to have it with them, I was having one set with me, and we were doing it together. So there was no dichotomy between the things. And keep the mothers in your confidence, talk to them, make your sessions. Yes, our sessions in our school also are very, very less, but the best output, I think, because the parents are very, very excited about whatever activities we are doing in pre-primary, nursery, and this thing. And students are also, I remember when I took the first class, one of my pre-nursery nursery students was crying throughout. And I was telling the mother, it's fine, it's okay, and mother was feeling. And but within 1 or 2 days, he was absolutely fine, and he started. So we have, with this classes, online classes, but we had a lot of activities also, wherein teachers were dancing with the children. We were doing a lot of activities with them. We were dancing. So all these were making a very good package, and wherein they were very, very motivated. So of course, three things: communication, transparency, and have your parents have that trust and confidence in you. So I think it will work.
Samitri, may I add? I've been a nursery
yes,
teacher for
yes,
15
please,
years.
ma'am. Yes.
So, Teddy, this is my question. You don't have to answer. Teddy, you have to go back. No, this I have to answer. You are actually interrupting our session. Now, this is my little Teddy, and every time I learn, he always comes and, interrupts in classes and learns with me, tells the stories, and claps for children. So if you have something like this every day, and whether Teddy is eating a carrot or you have to leave my hand, please. If he's holding a carrot, no, you can't do this to me. Thank you. So this way, you'll be actually, I told you not to disturb, no? You have to be very nicely. Okay, good. So this is the way you can actually make your children come to you, and you can clap for them, and you can sing with them. Yeah? Ta-da? Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful.
That was so engaging, and Megha, I hope that gives you some pointers which will prove to be helpful. However, like all good things end, we have to end this session here. However, this is not the end of our journey together. So thank you, panelists, again for guiding us through this path of awareness and knowledge. At the beginning, we were challenged by a complex problem, while at the end, we stand at a better place, equipped with better understanding. I would also like to thank all of you who've tuned in for this session and who've taken this journey with us. Of course, there were so many invaluable insights shared, such a vast repository of information for all of us to process, that all of us could be feeling a little overwhelmed at this point, but don't worry. We'll sift through it all, put a summary together, and share with our community through emailers and other communication material. So thank you again for this wonderful experience. Um, Let me also share with you that we will come back to you with more enriching as well as informative material after Diwali. And in the meanwhile, please be safe and have a very prosperous Diwali. However, do also share what you would like us to reflect on through these sessions so that we can prepare ourselves accordingly. And till the time we meet again, we wish you from Cambridge University Press a very happy Diwali. Stay safe and see you soon, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soumitra. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.